Hello, very good evening to everybody. Warm greetings from India. My name is Pankuri Sinha. I am a bilingual writer and I'm very honored that I've been invited to speak on Chekhov, the great story writer, today in this literary festival by the President, Mr. Andrei Chernov. My warmest thanks and deepest regards to him and to everybody associated with this festival. I'm truly honored. Now, Chekhov in India is really loved and he's very, very popular. By very, I mean that he has been translated in Hindi since time immemorial and loved by people. So many of these translations have been anonymous as well, to an extent that they were initially translated by people and then the rights were acquired by publishers, and what they used to do was that they used to just make minor changes and then publish with this or that publication and circulate it. So the point was that the translator's name wasn't so important, but it was just Chekhov's story that sold like anything among the readers of Hindi and was read, even borrowing from the library or institutions and other places. So he's immensely popular, along with some other writers like Tolstoy, like Kuprin, like so many others. I do not wish to actually, list all of them, but I would like to say that Russian literature in itself is extremely popular with the readers and writers of Hindi. It is also very popular. I don't just mean to say how popular it is among the Hindi intelligentsia, but also among the people who read and write in English or whose language is English, not just the first language of reading and writing, but the second language as well, as in people whose mother tongues are different, because you all know that there are many mother tongues in India. There are about 26 official languages in the Constitution of India, and there are so many more fighting and struggling to be incorporated in the Constitution. So all of these people, I would like to say, really love Chekhov. We admire so many things about him. Now, before I go to talk a little bit about that, because I myself love so many of his stories, I'll start with naming two. If I have to choose just one, it will be the story about Vanka, named Vanka, the little boy who's working as an apprentice in this shoemaker's house and who writes to his grandfather and who is not sure of his address. It is so touching and moving. I would like to say that all of Chekhov's stories have this satire and this irony that defines them. And though Shakespeare has been called the king of tragedy, I would like to say that all of Chekhov's stories have this lining of the tragic life, the tragic ending, the tragic sequence of events, of the ironies of life that can actually break your heart in two. And Chekhov's life in itself is like an open diary for all of us here. We love to read more and more about him, little details of how he built his house in Yalta, how he traveled to the island of Sakhalin, how people have written, how the Irish poet Seamus Heaney wrote his poem about him. So many things, and very lately Murakami wrote his novel around that. So we love it all. We love the fact how Tolstoy loved him, how he rated his stories in categories and all of that. But coming back to the topic of how much he's studied formally in institutions and how much he's actually formally translated, I would like to mention one particular Hindi poet and translator who is a professor of Russian language of Hindi language in one of the universities in Moscow. His name is Anil Janvijay, and he has translated about 140 stories of Chekhov, which is a very noteworthy achievement. And he has already published them in 3 collections that are in his name with his copyright. And I would like to name some of them. I have had the opportunity of talking to him last night and today, and I got some of these names in Russian as well. I'm going to make a try. The story is called एक छोटा सा मजाक in Hindi, which means a little joke, shutska in Russian. The other story is called Romance. These are some of the stories that are his favorite. I asked him to write down his favorite stories of Chekhov that he had translated from original Russian to Hindi. Dama sa Sabachki, Girgit, Hamyalon, Ward number 6, I think, which is one of the most well-known stories of Chekhov, of this doctor talking to his insane patient in search of something genius, you know, and then he ends up being sent to the asylum. I think it's a world-famous story. I'm saying this with a smile, but again, the irony is heartbreaking, and we all know that. What a master storyteller Chekhov was. Which is called Palata Noma Shest. Pardon my Russian, it's not perfect. I've never studied Russian, but I would like to read these names. Then there are other stories. Karonda, Kruzovanik, this is the name of the story in Russian. Typhoid. Typhoid is an English word as well, which is called thief in Russian. Kashtanka, which is a story of a dog. Unniti, Spat Khochitayasya, Bemani Zeet, Ninun Zanya Pabeda, Ladke, Malchiki. So these are some of the favorite stories that he wrote down for us. And in addition to this, I would like to share that I also spoke to a friend of mine who's studying Russian and Russian culture and literature in St. Petersburg, and he's associated with Russian studies and all of that happens in India. I hope that you know that there are departments of the Russian languages all over this country, in Delhi University, in Jawaharlal University, and many other places. But this friend of mine actually helped me get some of the work that has been formally done on Chekhov, and I would like to read to you that Professor Shankar Basu of the Jawaharlal University has written 3 books on Chekhov, comparing his work to Tagore in one. One is called Chekhov and Tagore, a comparative study of their short stories, which has been published with Sterling Publishers, New Delhi. The second book is called Anton Chekhov, Selected Letters. And the third book is called Intelligentsia, in the short stories of Tagore and Chekhov. What a beautiful topic to pick up on. In addition to this, I would like to draw your attention to several research projects that are being done and that have been done on Chekhov. I'll start with some of the MPhil papers. And the topics that they have chosen are something like this. I'll just read the topics and not the name of the research scholars, because I am not sure. I have already exceeded. It has to be 7 minutes, right?